Hey guys, welcome back. This is Nod Lammers of Invoked 101, and today I'm doing the Neos deck profile. So this is a deck that really got fully fleshed out back in Cybernetic Horizon, and I think I had a couple other support cards in another set. I forget exactly. But yeah, I've actually been putting this deck together. I actually finished it back when I got the spellbook stuff, so I felt it only appropriate to get the rest of the order out into the world. So this is Neos. A lot of people like to ask about how much a deck costs down in the comments. This one probably ran me more than the spellbook deck. Like from what I picked up, I spent $50 finishing this deck and the spellbook deck. And I think this one was definitely the more expensive of the two, which is not surprising considering how popular Neos is, but it's just one of those things you have to be ready for, and that's also the reason why I'm missing a few fusion monsters from the extra deck. It's just because sometimes those fusion monsters can get really expensive, and I didn't want to pick them up. But basically what you gotta do, you just gotta play like one of each Neos fusion. It's really simple. But anyway, before we get into the deck profile, down in the description there's a link to our Discord. Our general chat is open to the public if you want to talk to us, and then down in the down next to it is our Patreon. Anything you back us with through there goes immediately back into the deck profiles like this. So if you want to see more stuff like this, consider backing us on Patreon. Anyways, without further ado, we're going to move the extra deck and the spell and trap off to the side, and we're going to talk about the main deck monsters. I like to start with the Neos monsters, or the Neo monsters. The first one we're playing is Triple Elemental Hero Neos. This is your main guy of the deck, unfortunately, which really sucks because unlike they kind of like try to do a Dark Magician thing with this deck, but instead of doing it, they did it the lazy way, where they're just like, just spit him into the graveyard. So anyway, he's a 2000 vanilla monster. I'm playing two of the Dupo one just because like I think he looks kind of neat, but I also like the original one, and I had one from Shadows of Valhalla, so I like playing mixed artworks. So there we go. 3 of that guy. And then 2 of his evolved form. This guy really does help out the deck. This is Elemental Hero Honest Neos. And if you don't know what he does, you basically target a hero monster and then you buff it by 25. But if he's on the field, you can buff him by you can turn any elemental hero in your hand into an Honest, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, so 5 Neoses, although the only one that actually works with the deck is this one. Although you can do some cool stuff with this guy, I think, if I remember correctly. Triple Neos Pathfinder. I believe this is the terraforming for the deck. Yeah, so what this does is you discard it and then you can add Neo-Space from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So she also has an 1800 body, which is pretty neat, but which is also unfortunate because you're probably discarding her most times, but it's whatever. After that, we have Triple Neo-Space Connector. He's kind of like getting buried by himself. These are like brand new sleeves, sorry. So Triple Neo-Space Connector. This guy is awesome. He's actually like the best part of the entire deck. He's a warrior, so you can Rota him. Unfortunately, didn't find a Rota in my entire thing, so I can't search him in my version. But I would add Rota, and there's a card I'll talk about when I get to it that you can cut. This guy's awesome. So when this card is normal summon, you can special summon 1 Neo-Spacian or 1 Elemental Heroes from your hand or deck in defense. You can tribute this card, then target 1 Neo-Spacian or Elemental Heroes Neos in your graveyard, special summon it in defense. You can only use each effect of Neos Connector once per turn. So basically he either fetches a Neos or revives a Neos by tributing himself. So, which is super effective. You can turn him and Neos into Isold, turn him and the Dolphin into Isold, whatever you want to do. I actually don't play Isold because it's kind of bad, but it's bad in this deck, especially without Summon Sorceress. But anyways, that's it for the Neos monsters. Now we're going to talk about the Neo-Spacian monsters. So we'll get these guys out of the way. Alright, Neo-Spacians. We only play a couple of them at 3. I thought I ordered a place out of another one, but I guess I didn't, so I'm SOL. Triple Dolphin. Dolphin is like legitimately the best one. It lets you knock a card out of your opponent's hand for like the cost of life points. I got one really old super rare and then like an ultra rare and a rare. Pretty cool. Just some neat cards and some neat effects. After that, we got Triple Grand Mole. This guy, so this guy's pretty weird. So, at the start of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can return both monsters to the hand without damage calc. So basically, he just bounces, you attack, and then both get bounced to the hand. It's pretty cool. And then for the one of Neoses, we have Dark Panther, who can copy a monster on field's effect. We have Flare Scarab, who I think gains 200 attack for like each spell or trap on the field. Is it 200? 400 attack for each spell and trap on your opponent's side. Okay. And then we have Air Hummingbird, who once per turn like lets you gain 500 health for each card in your opponent's hand, which is kind of neat. It's kind of neat. And then lastly, this one's not a Neo-Spacian, but it effectively works as one in the way that I'm playing the deck. Rainbow Dragon. We'll talk about this when I get there. But if you play Neos, you should probably play one copy of Rainbow Dragon, and I'll explain why. Because it leads into my favorite part of this whole deck. That's it for the monsters. It's 21 monsters if I remember correctly. I did a whole count out earlier. I think it's 21 monsters and 20 spells and traps. Just to so it's a 41 card deck. You can cut like a card or two or switch some stuff around if you want. Let's move into the spells. We have triple Neos Fusion. This thing is legit the savior of this deck. There's another card in here that makes this deck a lot more playable, and it made it a lot playable for online for a while. But this card legit saved the deck. So what this says is, it says you can send Neos, you can special summon a Neos Fusion monster from your extra deck using 2 monsters, including Neos, by sending them from hand, deck, or field, ignoring the Fusion monster's summoning conditions. That is a godsend for Neos. Like, just giving them a Red Eyes Fusion is awesome. And then it has another effect where if the monster would die by battle or card effect, if you can, or be shuffled back into the extra deck by its own effect, you can banish this from your graveyard instead to protect it. So that's pretty cool. It has like a Neo, so even if you don't have Neo Space, you can protect it with your Neos Fusion, which is very nice. On top of that, we have the other best card in the deck, and this card actually is pretty awesome. Triple Contact Gate. This is another card that helps save the deck from being trashed here. I mean, it's still kind of bad, but it's definitely way more playable. It says banish 2 Neo-Spacian monsters with different names from your graveyard. Special summon 2 Neo-Spacian monsters with different names from your hand, deck, and or graveyard. Also for the rest of this turn, you cannot special summon from the extra deck except fusion monsters. Face up fusion monster that lists Neos as material on the would be returns to your field from the extra. Sorry. If a face-up fusion monster that lists Neos as material returns from your field to your extra deck, you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon one of your banished Neo-Spacian monsters. You can only activate 1 summon gate per turn. So the thing that I thought this said originally was that summon 2 different Neo-Spacians with different names from the banished ones. No, if you banish 2 Neo-Spacians, you can summon the same ones. They just have to have different names from the ones you banish don't affect the ones that you summon at all. You just have to have 2 different Neo-Spacian names, which is pretty awesome. This card is dope. It's amazing. It's like the best card, one of the best cards in the deck. Next we have the other combo piece, and that is Triple Covert Contact. This card is the draw card for Neos. It's legit my favorite card in like the whole deck. Like, simply because like Covert Contact plus Contact Gate is nuts. So Contact Gate says if you control no monsters, send 2 Neo-Spacians. Send 2 Neo-Spacian monsters, 1 from hand, 1 from deck, to the graveyard, draw 2 cards. So it instantly sets up for Contact Gate. It's awesome. It's so good. After that, we have triple Neo-Space. This is the field spell for Neos. And Neo-Space is interesting because it does something that really shouldn't have been necessary for the deck. And this is the main reason aside from needing a level 7 vanilla monster to be good, to like function in a deck, this card didn't help. It didn't help its case. So it says Elemental Hero Neos and all fusion monsters that list Neos as fusion material gain 500 attack. Each fusion monsters that list Neos as a fusion material do not have to have their effects activated that return them to the fusion deck during the end phase. I actually have updated ones from the OTS Pack 8 that says fusion materials do not have to activate their effects during the end phase that shuffle them into the extra deck. So slight wording update for Neo-Space, but it's there. So if you don't know how Neos works, all their fusion monsters shuffle themselves back into the extra deck during the end phase and don't summon anything else. Like, you'd think it'd be like Gladiator Beast, where it's like, oh, well, I can get something back. No, they don't do that. So the fact that like you need a field spell just to do it, just to keep your stuff alive, really sucks. But, I digress. After that, we have double Miracle Contact. Now, I was talking to TCG Cardcast about this card, and he says that it's a 3 of. I say it's a 2 of because you can only control 1 fusion monster at a time because the Neos fusion locks you into fusion summoning. Like, you can't link summon at all if you want to activate Neos fusion. So realistically, this is more of a like a turn 2 play once your Neos guy dies. But anyway, what it says shuffle into the deck from your hand, field, or graveyard the fusion materials that are listed on Elemental Hero Fusion monster that list Elemental Hero Neos as material, then special summon that fusion monster from your extra deck, ignoring summoning conditions. So it's kind of like a fusion spell for Neos. It's kind of like a Cyberdark Impact for Neos, which is really cool, but it also isn't super great. Like you do kind of want to see it because it can be in your hand, and that can help if you don't see Neos fusion, but I still don't think it's a 3 of. I definitely think it's a 2 of. And then the third version of this card that I kind of play is 1 Miracle Fusion, because you can use this to summon a couple I think it's only 1 fusion monster, but I like to I like that fusion monster, so I might actually bump him up to a couple more just because he's kind of useful and like probably the most useful one. But yeah, so this can only summon 1 monster in the extra deck, which is why we only play 1 of it, and it is pretty interesting to have. It's a nice little comeback card to have. After that, we have 2 Contact Out. This does exactly what it says it does. So basically what you do is you bounce a Neos fusion monster from your field to the extra deck, and then you get to special summon both of the materials used to... I think, is it all the materials or just both? Of all the materials. So you can return like the big 4 of in like mid-battle phase and start swinging again, which is pretty cool if you can get the 4 of fusion monster out. But yeah, basically just summons all the materials back from the deck, which should have been, again, a card that does something that should have been built into the Neos fusions. If you want to play a good Neos deck, just play Ritual Beasts. 1/0 Oversoul to special summon Neos back from the graveyard. This says target 1 normal monster in your graveyard that is an Elemental Hero, special summon it. And then 1 instant Neo-Space. This is just an equip card basically this is an equip card for the Neos fusion monsters, and it says that they don't shuffle back in, and then if this card is destroyed, you get a special summon Neos from your hand, deck, or graveyard. I forget exactly where, because this is an older copy. And then for the 1 trap card, we play 1 Next. So this card is pretty cool. Basically, it says special summon any number of monsters with different names from hand, deck, or from your hand or graveyard, not hand or deck or graveyard, from hand or graveyard in defense mode that are all Neo-Spacian monsters or Elemental Hero Neos, but negate their effects. And as long as you control any of those special summon monsters face up, you cannot special summon from the extra deck except fusions. You only can activate 1 Next per turn. If you control no cards, you can activate this card from your hand. Very neat, very cool. That is it for the main deck. We finally got through the main deck. Lots of explaining what stuff does, sorry. Alright, moving to the extra deck. Like I said, the extra deck is not complete because you are locked into fusion monsters for the most part. And I don't have some of the fusion monsters, but that's just because some of them are an outrageous price, and you really don't need all of them. But it's really a pick and choose which ones you like. So the first one I'm playing is 1 copy of Brave Neos. This one personally is my favorite because I think he's one of the better ones right now. He needs Elemental Hero Neos and a level 4 or lower effect monster. Must be fusion summoned, and he gains 100 attack for each Neo-Spacian and hero monster in your graveyard. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can add 1 spell or trap card from your deck to your hand that specifically lists the card Neos in its text. So he starts at 25, 2000, just Neo stats. I think all of them are 25, 2000, except for the like 3 fusions and the 4 fusion. But yeah, so pretty cool. Just Searcher if he kills something. This is more so for the Elemental Hero decks that play Neos, but you can use it in the regular Neos deck, and I think it's really good. After that, we have my personal favorite one, which is Rainbow Neos. Rainbow Neos is legit the best Elemental Hero fusion. Like, not Elemental Hero fusion. He is the best Neos fusion in the entire extra deck and in the entire game. He's amazing, and considering how old this card is, it's incredible that its effect actually still holds up and is still like a strong card. I know I said kind of the similar things about this guy, but this one easily is the best one. And this is why we play Rainbow Dragon, because it needs Elemental Hero Neos, and then either Rainbow Dragon or Rainbow Dark Dragon, one of the two. He has 45, 3000, and his effect is Must be fusion summoned with the above materials. Cannot be special summoned by other ways. Once per turn, you can activate one of these effects. Send one monster you control to the graveyard. Shuffle all monsters your opponent controls into the deck. Send one spell or trap card you control to the graveyard. Shuffle all spells and traps your opponent controls into the deck. Send one card from the top of your deck to the graveyard. Shuffle all cards in your opponent's graveyard into the deck. Notice he doesn't shuffle himself back into the extra deck. Yeah, no, he's amazing. He's like legit the best one. And the fact that you can summon this off of Neo's Fusion, like turn 2 and just like wipe your opponent's board is insane. I love this card. After that, we have Dark Neos, whose effect is basically target one card on the field. It has its effects negated as long as it's up there. And he can keep doing it. He can keep negating cards' effects as long as he's on the board. It's not a quick effect, unfortunately. At least to my knowledge, it's not. This is a really old, ultra rare of Dark Neos. But yeah, so this one needs Elemental Hero Neos and Neo-Spacian Dark Panther to summon. Then we have one Grand Neos. This needs Neos and Grand Mole, and his effect is that you can target a card on the field and bounce it back to your opponent's hand. I think it has to be a monster. And then we have, oh, of course, these two, this third one too. So I'll talk about him. This is the last of the two-piece fusions. Flare Neos. He needs Flare Scarab and Neos, and he gains 400 attack for all spells and traps on the field. Whoopee! Nah, he's pretty bad. And then so this one, and this one all shuffle themselves back into the extra deck during the end phase, which is standard on Neos. That's it for the two-piece fusions. Now for the three-piece fusions, which is Nebula Neos. Nebula Neos is awesome, like legit the best one. This is the best three-piece fusion, and you can summon this off of. There's a 3-card combo that summons this on turn 1, but it's not very good. Basically, you just need Neos Connector, Covert Contact, and Contact Gate, and you can summon this on turn 1. So he needs Neos, Grand Mole, and Dark Panther, and it says must first be special summoned from your extra deck by shuffling the above cards you control into the deck. Do not use polymerization. If this card is special summoned from the extra deck, draw cards equal to the number of cards your opponent controls, then negate the effects of one face-up card on the field until the end of this turn. Once per turn during the end phase, shuffle this card into the extra deck, and if you do, banish all cards on the field face down. So not only does he like solve an issue, like not only does he wipe the board when he leaves, which is thank God that it stops it takes away some of your opponent's advantage. He also lets you grab cards from the top of your deck. He is the best three-piece fusion, easily. And then we have Magma Neos, which is another one. This needs Grand Mole and Flare Scarab. So his effect is, must be for fusion summoned by shuffling the stuff into the deck. Gains 400 attack for each card on the field. Once per turn during the end phase, shuffle this card in the extra deck. If this card is shuffled into the extra deck, this way, return all cards on the field to the hand. That's pretty neat. And then this isn't a three-piece fusion. This is actually a four-piece fusion. So, but we're throwing him in with here because he's about as hard to summon. This is Cosmo Neos. Wow. Oddly enough, not part of the Cosmo archetype. Sad. So it says he needs Elemental Hero Neos and 3 Neo-Spacian monsters with different names. And I think in the artwork you can see I think it's like Storm Neos and Magma Neos right there, and then it's like there you can see the different Neos fusions like in him, and then it's must first be special summoned from your extra deck by shuffling the above cards you control into the deck. If this card is special summoned from the extra deck, you can activate this effect for the rest of this turn. Your opponent cannot activate cards. Also, cards your opponent controls cannot activate their effects. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this effect's activation. Once per turn, during the end phase, shuffle this card into the extra deck, and if you do, destroy all cards your opponent controls. So that's neat. It's not as cool as the banish everything face down, but, it's whatever. It doesn't matter, because still in the end phase, they still can't activate cards, so it's all whatever. But this is the main these guys are the main reasons that you can't use Neos Fusion says two monsters. Because just being able to summon Cosmo Neos is a little crazy. But yeah, and that's it. That's all for the extra deck. That's it. So that's it for the deck, actually. I think that Neos is a fun little janky deck. If you want just something super casual and like kind of nostalgic to play, this is definitely a deck that you might want to look into, just because of how kind of vintage it really is. This deck is super old at this point, and the fact that it's gotten new support that makes it like even, especially now, like right now, it's the most playable it's ever been. So like I would, if you're even mildly interested in Neos, I would recommend picking it up just because it isn't the most expensive deck in the world, but but you have to be ready to pay a little bit of a paywall to get to it. Like I said, because you're probably going to spend $50 to $80 on this deck, which might sound like a lot for a deck that you might only play casually, but overall, I think the deck is definitely worth it if you enjoy it, and I have no regrets about picking it up. Before I end the video, big shout out to my buddy Cole down at Chaos Games. He hooked me up with a bunch of the Neo stuff. I believe he got me the vast majority of the extra deck, a bunch of the monsters over here, a ton of the spells and traps and stuff. He hooked me up with the base of the deck, really. Like, without him, I probably wouldn't have picked up this deck. So big shout out to him for hooking me up with all this. For a lot of the stuff that you saw in this video. And then, once again, down in the description, there is a link to our Discord. You guys can chat with us, with me and Mio there. And then there's also a link to our Patreon. Anything you back us with goes right back into the deck profile. So if you want to see more decks like this, more weirder decks, and even some more competitive stuff, consider backing us on Patreon. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.